Ukraine. Over the past few months, the situation in Ukraine has gotten worse and worse. Things are so bad now that Vladimir Putin has been allowed the option to send in military units to protect Russian interests. What's happening here is a very frustrating thing to me because I have no clear decision on how I feel about this. I have many different opinions. It's a very gray area for me to dive into. There's a few comments I have to make, and I would like to first start off by saying that this issue is one that leaves me with a lot of conflicting feelings, especially being that I'm of Ukrainian descent. I am half Ukrainian and feel very strongly about Ukraine, and I also like Russia a lot. But yes, there's a few pointers and things I want to address here. First off, this issue, like I said, is a very conflicting one for me, and so I will be addressing different groups and not just one group. The first group I will be addressing is the Russian politicians, including Putin. Guys, please just don't send in troops into the Ukrainian mainland. I've already heard of Russian troops being deployed into the Crimea. If that is true, I'm upset by that. But at the same time, you want to protect your interests. But remember, this is coming from the same group who used diplomacy with Syria, so why can't you do it here? And I hope that you do it as well here. There's no need to send troops into Ukraine. There's other alternatives. I mean, seriously, haven't you guys and the past leaders of Russia done enough? Why do you feel the need to do this? For those of you watching who don't know, these kinds of issues, tensions, and conflicts happening right now between Russia and Ukraine have been going on a lot longer than just for the past few months. This has been going on for centuries, going all the way back to the early days of the Russian Empire. I asked the Russian politicians that this is the moment to change this attitude, this outlook. I'm not saying don't communicate with Ukraine at all, but it can be done better than this. I believe in Slavic brotherhood, and I really embrace brotherhood myself, which is one of the reasons why I'm part of a fraternity. So yeah, I embrace it. I say the time has now come for all of us, the Russians, Ukrainians, Poles, and others, to put the actions and behaviors of the past behind us. Do I expect anyone to take my message seriously? Not really, and I feel disappointed from that. But there's really nothing I can do. There's really nothing I can do to change people's minds that easily. At least I feel that way. Again, I asked Russia. I asked Russian politicians, especially Putin, to hold back on any aggressive actions, no invasions, and become more diplomatic, not just for this situation, but for future situations as well. Now, my message to the new Ukrainian government. I have heard of new decisions or policies that you put into place that are making people in Eastern and Southern Ukraine feel threatened. If this is true, you need to reconsider these policies that you have put into place that make the people in Crimea and Eastern Ukraine feel threatened by you. If these so-called policies exist and people are having doubts or frustrations with them, then they should be looked over. People in the Crimea are asking for help from Russia, so whatever anyone else has done or plan to do that could potentially damage the situation more, you need to reconsider those things. Because if these people in southern eastern Ukraine are feeling threatened, or they're feeling like nervous by the new Ukrainian government, then that's a big problem. I mean, that shouldn't be happening to begin with. So, I mean, there needs to be some things worked out. So far, I've heard reports of certain harassments on Eastern Southern Ukrainians. I've heard of threats of such harassments or battery. If this is true, then there should be an attempt to stop it. The people in southern Eastern Ukraine are feeling nervous, they're feeling threatened, and that's not right. Plus, they should not be going to Russia in the first place. They shouldn't be going to Russia for help anyway. Since they are going to Russia, that's a bad sign to begin with. They shouldn't be relying on Russia for help. They should be going to the Ukrainian government being like, look, we're feeling threatened, we're feeling nervous by this new government, we feel like that you're just going to toss us overboard, basically, and we don't like that, we don't want that, we want to be a part of this new government, and I feel like they should have that kind of attitude. They shouldn't feel like, oh man, Yushchenko has been, he's been pushed out the way, that means we're not going to be represented anymore. It's like, no, you can still be represented, but you need to make the effort to do that. You can't just expect this new Ukrainian government to give you representation. You need to work at it, you know? Some of you in the Ukrainian government are old enough to remember the times of the Soviet Union and their policies in Ukraine. I understand that there are many Ukrainians who are mad at what happened in the past, including the Russification. But I am here to say that two wrongs don't make a right. The past is the past, and there's no one buddy that can do anything to change what has already happened. We should learn from it and learn to let our feelings for the past go. Now, I know many Ukrainians, especially Western ones, might not like that, but I think this is a good solution. Again, the past is the past. We shouldn't be getting mad at it and not be taking it out on people in the present. I'm also talking to you, Russian government. I mentioned this earlier, but your attitudes that you've held on Ukraine for decades, possibly centuries, needs to change as well. To the Ukrainians in eastern and southern Ukraine, I brought this up again, but it would be good for you guys to talk diplomacy with the other Ukrainians, especially in the government. I don't see why you can't talk it out with them instead of relying on Russia for help. To the EU and the US governments, I will say the same thing to you as I would say to the Russian government, and that is to stay out of it as well. Basically, a lot of different outside factions are interfering with the internal affairs of Ukraine, and I believe it's the people of Ukraine who should be working together to learn to compromise and to work this problem. I've also said some. I also have something to say to Ukraine, and that is that you should have tried and gone with both deals from the EU and Russia. I mean, neither deal is perfect, but it would help to be able to have both. And wouldn't it benefit Ukraine if you were able to take both? And if Russia and the EU are against that, then shame on them. I mean, what's wrong with the Ukraine taking both? Why can't Russia and the EU be fine with that? You know. So after all, I just have a problem with that. But yeah. But after all this stuff, you know, after all I said, do I expect the situation to really change or get better before it gets worse? The answer is simply no, but I do have hope. And that may seem like a dumb thing to some people. It may seem like it might just seem like dumb for some people for me to say that. But I like to have hope. I like to have hope that what has happened so far is only the worst of what has happened, and that it will only get better from here. Things don't seem to be that way, though. It appears that Ukraine has announced mobilization, and Russia has its troops at the doorstep of Ukraine. They have it at the doorstep of Ukraine as well. For all I know, they could be sending more troops across the border as I'm speaking right now. Look, I love Ukraine and Russia, and to see what is happening here right now and what could potentially happen is tearing me apart from the inside out. I don't want this to happen. As humans in the past, we have showed restraint, so why can't we show it again? Are these situations being caused by greed? Are they caused by desire or power? I'm not sure, but I just want things to settle down again. I want there to be a compromise worked out. I know it can be done, people, and there needs to be compromises. I'm saying this because I don't want Ukraine to be torn apart into more violence and chaos than it already is in. I mean, this just feels insane to me that's even happening to begin with. I mean, this feels like a nightmare, basically. I just want things to calm down. I want there to be peaceful solutions to this crisis. I know it's possible. Even though it seems really unlikely right now, it seems really unlikely at this point. I know that if people are willing to make it happen that way, and then there would be, if people are willing to have it be that way, it would be better, basically. If people are willing to settle down at the meeting, at the table and compromise and negotiate. So please, people of Ukraine, put whatever differences you have aside and come together to make a better Ukraine. And instead of using outside intervention to help for violent means, use them for helpful and good means. And by that I mean economic. So if there's anything that I missed, please tell me in the comment section. and if I see it, I'll try to respond to it, or I might even make another video, or I might do both. Um, so yeah, this is my video on what's happening right now in Ukraine. And again, I hope the situation gets better before it gets worse. I'm MySpace. Goodbye.